Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick.
Southeast Radio.
Good morning, I'm Karl Fitzpatrick and welcome to Business Matters. Well, in recent weeks there has been much speculation about Facebook's announcement that it is to launch its very own cryptocurrency called Libra. But what is Libra and why exactly is the social media giant entering this space? Quinn DuPont, Assistant Professor in UCD School of Business, joins me now to discuss this unexpected move from Facebook. Quinn, start by providing us with an insight into what Libra is all about.
Well, the first thing that needs to be said is nobody quite knows what Libra is yet. It was just sort of released in a white paper form, and what it's intended to be is a global cryptocurrency, so a kind of a payment system that is open source in design and will be, let's say, sort of managed or guided by an association called the Libra Association. Now, the big thing that makes it all interesting, more interesting than many of the other sort of cryptocurrencies and payment systems that have came before, is that Facebook is behind it.
So essentially, users of WhatsApp and Facebook Messenger will be able to send and receive money within their social media account. This really is a game changer, isn't it?
Yeah, it definitely is. It's for a couple of reasons. The immediate one is that Facebook's messaging platforms are used globally, in developing nations and as well as developed nations by old people, young people, so on and so forth. So this means there's a lot of people who will have access to low fees or what's expected to be low fees transfers of money. This is particularly important for remittance and things like that, sending money back home when people go abroad, as well as just transfers, peer to peer and that kind of thing, and potentially a lot of retail opportunities as well.
And apart from the revenue generating potential, why is Facebook, a social media giant, entering into the domain of digital currency?
This is a good question, and I don't think anybody has the answer yet. It's probably too early to be able to answer that fully. I've got some ideas. The one that Facebook says, the reason they give is that, it's almost, they want to do good in the world. They say there's millions, if not billions, of unbanked people in the world. They don't have access to traditional financial services. And so they want to help them out. The other, more cynical views might be something like Facebook is looking to get into other parts of people's lives, and this scares many people. So obviously they're critical for communications. Well, maybe in the future they'll be critical for payments and things like this. Another big component that a lot of people haven't really been talking about yet, but I think might just possibly be the missing piece here, is that one of the big problems with the internet today is that the identity structure is not very good. So what I mean by that is when you present yourself to a website to log in and these sorts of things, you have to give them some credentials, some information about yourself. And today, if you go on to many websites, you can, that aren't even associated with Facebook, you can log in with your Facebook ID. That's a nice little feature they provide. And the problem with that, of course, is that that's tied directly to Facebook. And so it's possible that Libra will actually be a decentralized model of that, one that Facebook is able to shepherd and have some control over. And so they might be actually looking for a bit of an identity play here rather than just a pure financial play. But that's just a speculation. Nobody quite knows what the future holds there.
And from what you know about Libra from Facebook's announcement in the last number of weeks, does it sound like a strategy which has been well thought out by Facebook?
Absolutely. This is one of the most remarkable parts of the Facebook announcement and the white paper. While again, they're still very much working on the technology and they're working on the governance structures, which is very, very important. From what we've seen so far, it's a system that has been designed by adults, and this is relatively rare in the cryptocurrency and blockchain space. And I think the place you can see this attention to detail most clearly is, in fact, actually with the programming language that Facebook also released alongside the Libra Association. So it's called Libra Move, and it's a new programming language that will help developers that want to integrate with the Libra currency to create smart contracts and all sorts of things like that. That'll be able to develop on top of it in a robust, secure kind of fashion. And so that's something that is quite unique to what Facebook is offering here, and definitely shows a lot of attention to detail.
I know one of the main concerns that people had in general about cryptocurrencies was the lack of regulation around them. What have Facebook done to overcome that particular challenge?
The Libra Move programming language is an important part of that, but the biggest part is the Libra Association. It has sort of three roles, it seems. The first is overall governance. So this is a mechanism that will allow all of the institutions that are part of the Libra Association to give direction to the open source software, as well as changes to the protocols. The Libra Association provides a kind of a reserve or treasury function here. So this is one of the other interesting things about Libra, is that unlike, for instance, Bitcoin, which has wild volatility that goes, the price goes up and down kind of basically daily, Libra is supposed to be quite a bit more stable. So if you buy a chocolate bar today with Libra, the chocolate bar, should cost roughly the same tomorrow. And this is because it's backed by a basket of assets. And so, and that feature is managed through the Libra Association. And then finally, the association will help guide some of the technology developments.
One of the criticisms that have been levelled at the Libra Association is its lack of independence, that it's completely controlled by the vested interests.
I'm reserving judgment on that at this point. There is a small, but not tiny, list of founding members so far. So there's, MasterCard and PayPal and Visa are part of the association, as well as, eBay and Uber and Lyft and other blockchain companies and venture capital companies. And they all get voting rights. Facebook does not have more voting rights, it seems today. Things still early days, we don't know, but it seems like Facebook doesn't have more voting rights. They don't have veto rights or any of these sorts of things to control the Libra Association. So if you can trust this group of these founding members to make, broadly good decisions, not just decisions that Facebook wants, then I think you can, you might be able to trust the kind of the association more generally.
Now, there's no doubt that Libra is a further step in disrupting the financial services sector. What have the international banks been saying since this was announced?
Yeah, there's a bit of concern right away. I know a number of governments have been meeting, as well as central banks, and there's talk about, potentially they're asking Facebook to maybe delay the development. There's sort of vague concerns around too much power for Facebook. And so I've even heard talk of people sort of worrying if this could be potentially a kind of a sovereign currency, sort of a currency like the U.S. dollar or the British pound or what have you, sort of something that's has a kind of a nation-state quality to it. These are concerns. I know, Facebook has responded to these. They've been working with regulators. So as I said, it's very much it's run by adults. So they're not trying to avoid regulators. They're trying to work with them. So I think it's wait and see at this point.
And when I see companies like MasterCard investing so heavily in Libra, I can't help but think that they see this as a threat to their own business.
Yes, that's a curious part of this, that both Visa and MasterCard, who are competitors themselves, have, for whatever reason, decided to get on board with Libra. They know that if they, join them or fight them, right? So I guess in this case, they've decided to join them. But that's not to say they're not going to also try to boost their own product and make sure that they're available, make sure MasterCard's available on all the platforms, right? Both be it Apple Pay or be it Libra.
And Quinn, in your opinion, what will ultimately determine the success or otherwise of Libra?
Well, I think Facebook has a lot of social challenges in front of them. They haven't been anyone's favorite for a while, both from the position of regulators and governments, as well as just consumers. And while I think in my opinion, they've designed the system very intelligently, no one's going to forget that Facebook's behind it, at least not in the immediate future. And if Facebook leaves a bad taste in your mouth, that means you're going to come in to Libra with the same kind of feeling, and that's not a positive one. And so, obviously, Facebook's working very hard to try to, in a way, distance themselves from this, but that's going to be a challenge.
Well, if you've just tuned in, that was Quinn DuPont, Assistant Professor in UCD's School of Business, and one of 2019's biggest business stories to date, will certainly be watched with interest from all corners of the globe to see how it develops.
Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick.
Southeast Radio.